Sorry about that, guys. I guess I talked too much and ran out of time. Apparently, there's a 15-minute time limit, so I will definitely get through this last chapter a little bit quicker. If you recall, we left off at the ethical issues within research. Please follow up on reading that last slide to find out more about what ethical issues you may encounter within research. So now we're going to dive into the socioeconomic detriments to health, or determinants. I guess you could take it either way. So, socioeconomic status, there's three components: economic, occupational, and educational. Economic obviously has to do with wealth and income. Um, Occupation, just like it sounds, it's your job skills, the type of labor that you do. And then education is measured in your years of education, degrees earned, certificates, diplomas. One of the things I want to point out is within determinants, and I'm going to kind of, it sounds terrible, but I'm going to take it and change it into the word detriments, because really I think when we're talking about socioeconomic status, it really can be a detriment to one's health. So you think about the economic status. Wealthier people tend to have better health care. Those with a particular occupation, we're going to flip flop it and say, maybe manual laborers, they have a higher mortality rate, a higher rate of morbidity because of injuries, heart disease. Think about those that work in the coal mines. And then looking at education, those with a higher education may have better access because they may be more involved, they may ask more questions, and they're better informed. This is a generalization, of course, but we have to kind of take what the text is saying and break it down a little bit. So, globally, we know that lower income countries have a much different health profile than higher income countries like the United States. So, we know that we have a lower infertility rate, a lower mortality rate, a higher life expectancy, lower proportion of deaths from infectious disease. And yet, this is what's interesting, we have a higher proportion of deaths from non-communicable disease. Think about this. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. As you read the text, you'll come across some really interesting information of how we've done these shifts. So economic shifts and fertility shifts, and how we've kind of gone away from a lower life expectancy to a higher life expectancy, but yet we're dealing with more diseases and disabilities. So food for thought there. Okay, role of race and ethnicity in health. There are definitely some diseases and conditions out there that are only going to occur in certain races or ethnicities. For instance, sickle cell anemia. We only find that in Black individuals. You will not find that in any other race. To define what race is, it's simply a superficial category that groups individuals based on physical attributes such as skin color. Ethnicity is based on dimensions of our culture, tribal affiliation, nationality, race, religion, language. All of us can consider ourselves, excuse me, ethnic in one way or another. So there's a lot of health disparities that go with this. This is where that term detriment comes into effect. So there's so many health disparities as a result of socioeconomic factors like poverty, chronic psychosocial stressors. These are obviously going to affect our health outcomes. Also, thinking about the role of race and ethnicity in health, how culture plays a part in it, how we celebrate our eating habits, our beliefs, our alcohol and tobacco intake. Putting it in a really simplistic way, just think of it within the United States, how different areas of the United States tend to eat differently, exercise differently. You'll see higher rates of one disease, lower rates of another disease in different areas of the country. And my daughter-in-law is from Texas. My father-in-law was from Mississippi. So I like to use the South as a really good example. My son and daughter-in-law lived in Corpus Christi for several years, and I could not understand how anyone could ever exercise in that level of humidity. Well, come to find out, that is actually the fattest city in the United States. I can understand why. Everything's deep fried, and with a heat index at any given time of well over 110 with that humidity, there's no incentive to go outside and exercise. And not saying that the Northwest is any better, but I think we have a different environment in that we've got a more temperate climate, so it lends itself better to outdoor exercise. Really kind of comparing places like Portland, Seattle, Boise, even Salt Lake City to places like Memphis and Dallas and Mobile and places in the South like that. What a difference we'll see both culturally and health-wise. So definitely something to consider. So I really just kind of talked about the culture and health already. So there are some causes of disease, and it really kind of is based on your cultural influence of how you believe that disease developed. So I have it listed that there's a mechanical approach that sees disease as a breakdown or dysfunction of the body. That is usually how medical practitioners look at it. So moralistic, we look at it as, and this is my husband's favorite thing, good, clean living. So good health is a result of clean living, and disease is a punishment for wrongdoing. So yeah, you can kind of take that for what it's worth. Everyone's got their own approach to it. Supernatural approach, I just love that term, sees disease as a curse from God or demonic possession or some other sort of curse. So, okay, a little voodoo there. Then we've got the disequilibrium approach, which sees disease as a result of an imbalance within the body, such as hot, cold, yin, yang, or a chakra imbalance. And I will admit, I am really kind of a lot of a hippie. So my personal approach, much to the dismay of my family and my healthcare professionals, I kind of go along with the disequilibrium approach. I feel like if I'm sick, it's because something's out of balance or something's out of whack. So I want you to think about your own culture, your own beliefs, and how do you, what is your particular approach? And do you think it has to do with culture? And that is all we have for chapter 4. I apologize for having to do this in 2 parts, but I promise I won't talk as much next week. As always, please use the Ask My Instructor if you have any questions. I will try to get these posted tonight, Sunday night, and if not, they will be up by 8 a.m. Monday morning. So have a good week, everyone. I hope to interact with you and have great discussions on the discussion board. Thanks.